welcome back. Today we are doing a tutorial narration again because I did not record this voice when I was building the plane. So what you see here is the B-25 Berlin Express, and I'm going to show you how I do my nose art. So there's two things that I do. One is that I find original art on the planes and bring them into Photoshop. The second thing I do is I redraw that art and sometimes resize the art so that it works inside Stormworks. And the third thing I do is I like my artwork to be flat colors, I guess. So I don't like aliasing. So I don't want like grays and light grays and dark grays to make up a logo. I want it to be like two colors. So it's either like black and white, or it's black and red and black and green or whatever. But the point is that I don't want the colors as much as possible. There are a few logos that I've been lazy with, like Heavenly Body, where it has more of the gradients or the aliasing, but I try not to do that as much as possible. All right, so let's get started here. All right, so I think I have an older video that I'll link to in this video if you want to see how I do paint schemes and I think use the Tanjin paint tools. But I'm just going to go through and tell you how I did this one, which is on my B-25. I looked at the side of the plane where I was going to put the nose art and counted the blocks available. So paint blocks are 9 by 9 pixels. So what you do is you take your blocks and then you times it by the 9, and then you get your height and width for the resolution of the graphic. So here you see I found a Berlin Express logo from the plane and I copied it into my resolution, which I think is like 45 by 90 pixels. And so you see it gets really pixelated, and it tries to like make the graphic look better by using different colors and making it readable, blah blah blah, but it doesn't look good. So what I usually try to do is isolate with a green or a pink, which is going to be my background, so that I can easily paint it inside of Stormworks. But then I redraw, usually on top of the logo, in the colors that I want to use. So if it's like 3 colors or 4 colors, I pick those colors and then I start redoing the logo by hand. So with this logo, I had a lot of trouble because Hitler, you can't even see the face. It looks terrible. And trying to redraw it with only that many pixels didn't really work. So what I ended up doing later on is I go ahead and I enlarge that part and then redraw it, and I kind of got it looking pretty good. And then went ahead back to the plane and seeing where I could use like maybe some extra blocks to get the Berlin Express a little bit longer, but overall it was kind of difficult. So let's go ahead and fast forward this part so you can see some of the problems I had. So here I started drawing the black parts again, and up on the top left you see that's what the original artwork is supposed to look like at a higher resolution. So when I tried drawing this, you can see that I'm not able to get the details of the face and the hair. And so what I ended up doing right here pretty soon, I think, is I enlarge it, and that gives me more pixels to work with. And so again, this whole thing that you're seeing here, the image, is the resolution that I am able to put on the plane. So I can use all that space you see right there, and I'm able to go ahead and put that on the plane. So if I enlarge the circle, I can get away with it. It just may not look too good on the side of the plane with a giant circle instead of being smaller. It may not fit. So I did run into that problem, but I'll show you how it turned out. All right, so that was my final attempt right there, what you see, to get it to look right, and it just wasn't working. So what I did is I went ahead and grabbed the logo again, pasted it, and then I went ahead and made it larger than it was before. Let's go ahead and do that. Shrink it down, put it up a little bit, shrink it down a little bit more, and now we have a larger logo. So I was trying to get it so that you could see the details of the face, which was kind of difficult. So I keep moving it up and down until Photoshop gives me some pixels I like. All right, so then after that, it's a simple matter of, as you can see, the details are there. It's a simple matter of redrawing everything, darkening up the blacks, and then clearing out those lighter pixels. All right, so here is the image finally kind of cleaned up, and you can see I kind of captured the face, but the problem is it's really large, but we're going to fix that later. But for right now, what we're going to do is start messing around with the text. Now, on the original logo up there, you can see that the text kind of runs from left to right at an angle. And when I tried to initially put this down with the logo being larger, of course, things started to fall apart because the text was way too big. All right, so I tried testing it on the side of the plane. As you can see, the logo looks really big, at least the target and the head looks super big. And then I put Berlin Express at the top and the right. Now, if you notice on the top of the graphic, I still have room for a couple more paint blocks on that top roll. So what I decided to do was I went ahead and I tried to go ahead and use those top rows well for extra graphics, even though the top left has the 2x2 block that I can't paint on. I ignore that one and then gave myself more resolution to go ahead and make the rest of the logo. So let's go back into Photoshop and I'll show you what I did here. So back in Photoshop, I started to make the circle smaller around the head because I figured if I keep the face at a higher resolution and just make the circle smaller for the target site, that I can get away with it looking like it's smaller on the side of the plane, even though the head is the same size. So that was my trick, and I think it kind of worked. So I go ahead and shrink down the circle, redraw the target a little bit, and then what I do is I extend the image on the top part so that I can add, I don't know if you can see them on the top left there, but there's bombs that are dropping on the head. And so I need more room to draw the bombs and blend the whole logo together. So that's what I do. Let's step up here again. All right, so what I did here is I used the red block to give me a reference for where the 2x2 wedge was. So I know that I can't paint there. So everywhere else in the green, I can build my logo out. So I went ahead and grabbed the bomb graphic somewhere. Did I grab the bomb graphic? I think I did. Hurry up, grab the bomb graphic. There it is. And so those are the bombs I'm going to go ahead and redraw and then put them on the logo, and then I actually redo the Berlin Express as well. So you can see it right here that the bombs are again two colors, grays and blacks. I'm sorry, not two colors, but they are flat colors. They're not gradients or anti-aliased or whatever they call it. So what I did next is I started putting the Berlin Express, and I tried playing with different fonts, making it, you know, no aliasing, shadow dropping, just trying to get the look of the top one a little bit. So what I ended up doing was kind of getting it to work by repainting black all around the letters and keeping them with non-aliasing and I think a shadow, if I remember right. And that ended up kind of working, and I just kind of redrew the letters. So let's see, step forward again a little bit here. All right, there we go. Yeah, see, I've got the letters anti-aliased, and there was a drop shadow initially, and I just flattened out the image and then started drawing the black around the letters just so that they show up. Not exactly like the original logo, but at least you can kind of read it, and it gives it kind of a, I don't know, interesting text look, I guess. But everything's coming together on the logo, so it's got the bombs, it's got the head, and it's got the text at an angle. So I was pretty happy with this. Okay, so here are the final steps, just coloring it in and trying to blend it into the side here with the camouflage of the Berlin Express, which is like a light brown and a greenish color. And so then test it by spawning the vehicle and seeing if it looks okay with the game lighting. And that is pretty much it. All right, the final thing to do is just test it in the game. It looks pretty good. The size looks good, and I'm happy with it. So, yep, done. All right, so the last thing I'm going to show you is the 07 logo, and pretty much went through the same thing. Actually, nose art, not logo. Nose art. And pretty much went through the same thing, coloring it in with some solid colors, trying to get rid of all that aliasing that you see there. So you can see it makes it look like the graphic was larger but pixelated. But what I want to do is, because the game is so blocky, I want to get rid of that aliasing and just make it look like a blocky nose art logo, whatever you want to call it. So it looks flat and it belongs in the world and on the plane, rather than having these edges where it looks like a graphic was pasted on the side of the plane in a low resolution world, basically. So I don't like that. So that's why I do it. So what I do is I go ahead and go through here and start painting everything up. I start using squares to try to like give it that dimension right there. But I end up doing in the end is I do not add the squares on the side, or actually the little dots on the side of the dice, just because I can't get the detail to look right. So I keep the 5 and the 2, and then just use kind of like a shadow on the sides and the top of the dice. And that's it. And it ends up going on the plane and looking okay, I think. Alright, so that's it for today. If you haven't done so already, go ahead and hit the bell so it goes ding dong when I upload a new video. And if you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so. And I will see you next time. Let me know what you think about this tutorial.
See you next time. Bye!